Hello, Warren. Hello, everybody. If you're wondering why you're seeing me over here, I'm gonna have some fun. I'm doing a little interview. Good morning, guys, for Mama Magic this morning. We're gonna be talking to Donna Bland about home births, which I'm really excited about because I don't know about you guys, but I did not have a home birth. So I'm quite excited to learn more about home births and how they work. And I actually don't know anything about home births. Portugal. Hello, Sergio. Thank you so much. I'm just waiting to, let's see if I can invite Donna. I don't think she's joined yet, but I'm going to send her a request. There we go. Neil just said she's online. I'm going to quickly request for her to join me. There we go. I've just sent Donna her request. So, then we can get chatting. How are you guys doing? Is everybody doing well? Hello! Hi, Donna!
Hello. Hi there.
How are you?
I'm very well, thanks, and you?
I'm good, thank you so much. How's lockdown been treating you?
Up and down. Had some good days, had some bad days, but not too bad. At least we're well, safe, so that's a good thing.
And I could imagine with you, home births is probably more relevant and more important than ever now.
Yes. It's actually become quite a good option for moms because unfortunately with COVID-19, we have to be concerned about going into hospital. But, it's not for everybody because it depends on mom, if she's healthy, if she's had a risk-free pregnancy. There's all those sort of things to consider. But certainly, yes, it's something that I am talking to moms about as an option because, I do think for a mom with, as I say, with a problem-free pregnancy, it's probably a safer option at this stage.
Yeah.
So it's difficult to say.
It's crazy how things have changed, and now there's so many new things to consider because I think it's really difficult being pregnant at the moment. Pregnancies can be difficult just under normal circumstances. I can't even imagine the stress these poor moms are feeling with everything. Even going to your checkups, I think, is probably really stressful.
Yeah, no, I've had a lot of feedback from moms. My daughter-in-law's pregnant at the moment. She's actually due next month, and I know for her, I know she's even, she's really nervous about the fact that, she's got to face this. And a lot of moms are concerned, will their partners be able to attend the birth? And we know that that's been a problem. Will they be able to have visitors, which of course they can't? What if baby has to go into ICU? There's all these questions. So, hospital birth at the moment is quite a frightening prospect, and pregnancy in general, I think.
Yeah.
So, it's a difficult time.
Every aspect that we took for granted now has extra worries and loaded with concerns and stuff. But before we jump into everything, can you maybe just do a little introduction? Tell us a little bit more about yourself. How long have you been doing this? Your background?
Sure. Okay, I'm married to Walter. We've been married for 29 years, and we have three wonderful sons. Graham, who's going to be 26 soon, Colin's 22, and our baby Jordan, he's 17. Not such a baby, but he'll always be my baby. We have a beautiful grandson who's 3 and a granddaughter on the way next month. So very exciting. I've been a doula since I qualified at the end of 2001. So, that was very exciting. And then I've been in private practice ever since. So basically, what is it now? 19 years that I've been in private, 18 years, sorry. Am I back
Okay,
again?
so
Sorry, don't know what happened there.
you had
Yeah,
you
so I've
froze
been
for a moment.
for 18 years. And yeah, my speciality is I do love the birthing aspect, but I really love the postnatal care. That's really where my love lies. But the births are obviously awesome. And I've been to some amazing births, home births, hospital births, home birth centers, or birth centers, you know. So I've had some wonderful experiences. And yeah, I'm training to become a craniosacral therapist at the moment. We were supposed to qualify at the end of the year, but now I don't know if that's going to happen because obviously we can't do our training. So that's a little
What
bit
is
hectic.
that exactly? Because I read that and I was like, what does that mean?
It's a very difficult sort of question to answer, but what it basically is it is gentle touch that's used for the health of the central nervous system. So we're basically working on the person's central nervous system, yeah, and we're helping the body come back to homeostasis, which is like a healthy state. And it works on trauma, it works on injury and all sorts of things, ailments, but it's a lot to do with trauma as well. So it's wonderful. We can work on babies because obviously after birth there can be some trauma from the delivery. We can work with the mom as well. We can work with children who have different pathologies, even autism and things like that. So it's a wonderful field to be going into. Obviously for me, I want to work more with the babies with it. That'll be my focus.
Yes.
Yeah, just to make sure that babies are well and able to start their lives off well after a birth. Because regardless of whether you have a normal delivery or a cesarean, there can be trauma to the baby, you know. So, yeah, very exciting.
Wow, well, yeah, it sounds like a very interesting field. I can understand why you would want to, pursue that. So how many babies have you, how many births have you been part of? I can think over 18 years. You've probably lost count.
I have lost count, unfortunately. People often ask me that I have to go and count.
But I'm guessing every single one of them is just so unique and different. But yeah, it must be an incredible comfort for a mom to at least have you there because there's somebody with experience, because a lot of these times these moms are like going through it for the first time, which is always stressful. So tell me, what is the main difference between a home birth versus a hospital birth?
Well, I think it's really just around how the mom sees her birth going. Is she looking for a very natural approach? Obviously, she can't have a lot of medical intervention at home. So it would be a mom who's really looking to go the complete natural route. The midwife can bring certain types of medication along, but it's very limited. She can't have an epidural and things like that at home. So it would be a mom who's happy to use natural methods of pain relief rather than pain medication, analgesia, and that sort of thing. So that would really be the biggest difference in a mom's choice, you know. But in terms of, you know, the other aspects, obviously we consider safety and is the mom, like I said earlier, low risk. If she's pregnant with twins, it's not really ideal. There's very few midwives that'll do what's called a VBAC, which is vaginal birth after cesarean. And because that obviously can be higher risk. So, you know, there's a lot of factors that have to be considered before a mom can actually think about doing a home birth.
So like the perfect candidate for home birth, who would that be? Like if you could have a perfect home birth candidate, how would you describe her?
Preferably not too young and also not too old. So sort of yes. If they're too young, I'm talking about sort of teen years, then that can be problematic. If it's what we call a geriatric pregnancy, which is over 40, that also brings its own risks. So we have to be concerned about that. But in the 20s and sort of mid-20s to 30s, I would say that's the perfect age. Mom has to be healthy. She has to have had a completely problem-free pregnancy. So there must be no risk to her or to baby. her hemoglobin levels, in other words, the blood, at least the iron levels in her blood need to be at an optimal level. You know, there's all those things to consider. So we basically need a very, very healthy mom. As I said, we preferably don't want a mom who's had twins. We also are not many midwives are very keen on taking on a first-time mom for a home birth. There are some that will, but very often they'll ask a second-time mom to rather attempt a home birth, because the problem is we don't have a yardstick to measure it on. So we don't know how her labor is going to go. You know, whereas with a second pregnancy, we can look back at her previous labor and say, how did she progress during labor? Did she deliver normally? Did she need forceps or vacuum extraction? Was she cut? Did she tear? Did she have a hemorrhage afterwards? There's all these factors to consider. You know, and if she falls into any of those higher risk categories, then obviously it's not ideal. So it's really looking at a perfectly healthy mom that's had no problems in the past. We also have to look at mom's psychiatric state. Is she going to emotionally cope and all that type of thing? Because, you know, we think about the body, but we don't think about the mind. Yeah. And very often if a mom is not in a good place emotionally or psychologically, psychologically, thank you, I couldn't think of the word. Yeah, then that obviously can have a huge effect. You know, so we have to take all those factors into consideration before we can consider a mom for a home birth. Okay,
so let's say we've got a mom she's at the right age, she's healthy, she's psychologically fit to do this. Is it safe? Like, is it truly safe to be having a baby at your home with regards to like the environment? How do you guys ensure, like, if something goes wrong, how do you make sure home births are safe? And are they considered safe? Do medical aids have a problem with them?
Yeah, medical aids, unfortunately, are not terribly keen on them. They would rather you into a birth center, but you do get medical aids that will buy into it to some extent. Yeah, it's a difficult one because obviously there's a lot to consider. The benefits, let's look at it from a pros and cons perspective. The pros are that mom's in her own home. She's most comfortable in her own home. So she's very relaxed. She's got her own things around her. She's got her bed to rest on, her bath to get into if she wants to use water, and her own toilet. She's got her kitchen and dining room, you know, all her own things. And she's able to have as many family and friends around her as she pleases. There's no limitation to how many people can be present at the birth, which is obviously a positive thing for some moms. Other moms don't want to have many people around, and that's fine. But at least she has the option. You know, she can play music. I mean, she can do that in hospital too, but there are limitations, obviously. She can burn candles and incense or aromatherapy oils, you know, so she can keep her lighting at a perfect level for her liking. And one of the biggest things that moms love about a home birth is that the intervention from the midwife is very limited. So she will intermittently monitor baby and mom and baby. Obviously, she's making sure that they're well, but there isn't this surge of intervention all the time that can cause mom to feel stressed and agitated, and you know, because unfortunately, exactly, what can happen? You see, there's hormones that are produced during labor. So the main hormone that's produced during labor is called oxytocin. Now, that's also known as our love hormone. Now, when a mom is feeling loved and safe and all that sort of thing, obviously her oxytocin levels are going to be higher than if she's in a stressed state. If she's stressed, then hormones like adrenaline are going to come in. And unfortunately, adrenaline suppresses oxytocin supply. So we have to consider that as well. You know, that's obviously a big factor and a big pro to a mom having a home birth, is that she's going to feel safe and she's going to feel like she's really just comfortable and happy in her own environment. So that's really a big factor. And then obviously siblings can be there if she has had previous children, which a lot of people considering home birth, and not even, but a lot of people who've got siblings, you know, they're going to have siblings for their children. They actually, they would like the siblings to be involved. And I mean, there's been little ones that get in the bath with mom and all sorts of things. The midwife can bring her own birthing pool. The mom hires it. And so she knows the exact birth pool that's going to be available. She knows she will get a birth pool. It's not just a case of, you know, am I going to get it or is it not available, whatever, because some hospitals have one birth pool. And if it's being used, the other mom, if there's a second or third mom, they miss out on it, you know. So there's that to consider as well. But in the cons list, obviously we have to think about safety and that sort of thing. Now, statistically speaking, it's not these days safer to have a home birth necessarily. But with the right midwife, and the midwives that do it are highly skilled, highly trained, and very, you know, they're very particular in their work. Not all midwives will do home births because they don't feel that it's really their calling, that they feel too nervous to do it because of things that can go wrong. So the ones that do it are exceptionally good at what they do. So in that case, you know, obviously that's a good thing. But moms do worry, and dads especially as well. They worry about the safety of being at home. Now, with a midwife, you're getting one-on-one care all the time. So the full labor, you're going to have one-on-one care. I must just mention as well that a midwife will never do a delivery at home on her own. So there'll either be two midwives, she'll have a partner that she comes with, or like I'm a doula, she'll have a doula that'll come in and help her, because she will always need that second pair of hands.
Okay.
And especially once baby's delivered, if anything happens, you know, she needs another professional who can help her. So from that perspective, parents must take into consideration that we have thought about those safety measures. And with this continuous care that the mom is getting, the chances of problems arising too late is very slim, because the midwife will pick up on it, you know, earlier, and she will make provision for time to make, you know, to actually get to the hospital. Obviously, if there's an emergency after baby's born, that's a different thing. That's an extreme emergency. But we're talking about during the labor. If the midwife suddenly decides the mom may need a cesarean, she's going to transfer her to the hospital a lot quicker than what people might think. She's not going to wait till the 99th hour.
Because I think that's a misconception people have. Like, when does the midwife, it's about probably the relationship you've built up with your midwife, because will a midwife tell you, you know what, I'm sorry, we need to go to the hospital now?
Absolutely. Absolutely. She will pull no punches on that. And, you know, we do things, park the cars in the right way, so you drive straight out, you don't have to reverse, things like that. We make sure that everything is in place, you know, so that we're actually taking all the precautions necessary, so that if an emergency arises, we can get out quickly. There's nothing stopping us. We make sure the keys and the remotes and all those type of things are ready, so we can just get up and go, you know.
So you have precautions in place. Even if there's no emergency, you are ready for the worst case scenario. But mom doesn't have to worry about that.
No, absolutely not. We make sure that we are completely ready, so that if we do need to transfer to hospital, that all preparations have been taken into consideration and are actually in place for transfer. So we do make sure of that.
I saw we had a question with regards to the water birthing. If you do a home birth, is it usually recommended to do a water birth?
It doesn't have to be. It's your personal choice. The beauty of water, and moms should do some research behind water delivery. It's actually a lot safer than what some doctors might have made it to be, or any professionals for that matter. Because, first of all, it's wonderful for comfort. You know, I always say to my moms, if I'm doing antenatal classes, I'll say to my moms, as part of the natural pain methods that I actually recommend, I say to them, if you've had a hard day, you know, you come home, you pour yourself a glass of your favorite drink, you light some candles in the bathroom, and you go and soak in the bath. And when you get out, you feel like a new person. You may put some Epsom salts in, just to sort of, you know, soak the worries away. And you feel revived and rejuvenated afterwards, but you feel relaxed as well. Yeah. So that's really the beauty of it, because when you're relaxed, you actually can manage the pain better. We talk about the pain, fear, and tension cycle. And what that is basically is that if you, for example, you're in pain because you're in labor, okay, and you get all tense and the shoulders go all tense and whatever, and the hands start to clench and the jaw clenches and so on, then what happens is the perception of your pain is going to be that much worse. The pain won't necessarily be worse, but you will perceive your pain to be worse. And then what happens, then you become more frightened, because now you're frightened of the next contraction. And so you tense up some more and so the pain. And so it goes on like that. Now, in any environment, whether at home or hospital, the only way we can get rid of pain is obviously through an epidural, or a mom going in to have a Caesar with a general anesthetic or whatever. But other than that, there's nothing we can do to get rid of the pain. So what we work on is the fear and the tension. Now, in a home environment, the mom is already feeling a lot calmer. And in a bath, because it gives you that very calming effect, the warm water, and it's soothing your aching body and things like that, you are more relaxed, and therefore the tension is not so bad, and therefore your perception of the pain is not as bad. In terms of actual delivery in the water, that's a personal thing. A lot of moms will say to me, I want to use water for pain management, but I don't want to birth in the water. Fine. There's no harm in doing that. We'll happily get you out the bath, but you may change your mind during the delivery, and that's also fine. A baby won't, providing the water's at the correct temperature, which is usually body temperature, maybe 1 degree more is perfect. Once the baby is actually born into the water, that baby won't take a breath until they hit the air. Because the water is at the right temperature. It's what it was in utero. So they're used to it. They don't get a fright. Yes. They take that breath when they get the fright from the cold air. So, yeah.
Even
so,
I didn't know that.
Yes. Obviously, again, if the midwife sees that there's any possible problem or complication of the mom being in water, she will remove her from the water for delivery of the baby. We take all these things into consideration, and moms and babies' safety is always top priority.
Okay, so preparing for a home birth, obviously you won't have a date like with a C-section. You're going to wait to go into labor. How do you prepare? Like, what are the measures that need to be taken by parents to prepare for a home birth?
Well, the midwife will assist with a list of what needs to be prepared, but they will always have their midwife and doula on call. So usually from about 37 weeks gestation, we go on call, and we're on call for that mom until she's delivered. So we're available 24/7. So if she's concerned, if a mom has a doula, very often she'll contact her doula first, make sure that she's actually in labor, that what she's experiencing is true labor, or that maybe her membranes have ruptured, in other words, her waters have broken, whatever the case may be. And then from there, the doula can advise her as to whether we need to then get in touch with the midwife and get her involved as well. And then, but in terms of what the moms will need, obviously you've got to think of practical things. You don't have people coming and cleaning and changing linen and all that type of thing like you would in the hospital environment. You'd have to take care of that yourself. So you always have to have things like spare linen in case you do bleed onto the linen. We recommend getting plastic sheeting. You can actually, shops you can get big plastic sheets, garbage bags, because obviously we need to throw things away, but more importantly, also if you want to lay them down, we recommend putting a mattress protector or plastic sheeting underneath your sheets so that your mattress doesn't get damaged, or stained and things like that. Buckets, sometimes moms vomit during labor, so a bucket or a bowl is ideal. You also want a container for your placenta, either an ice cream container or a thick packet or both. Those sort of things. A torch is a good idea, because sometimes the midwife might, although she will probably bring her own, but it's always a good idea to have spare on hand. Make sure you've got your music prepared and all that type of thing. Candles if you want that. Snacks, drinks. So.
I'm sorry. I just heard people saying they're having trouble hearing us.
Oh dear.
I'm hearing well.
I'm hearing you
else
perfectly.
is anybody else having trouble? I only saw this from one. If you guys can hear us, maybe just like give a wave. I only saw Health Masters SA said they can't hear us very well. Okay, if you guys can't hear us, please let us know. But so yeah, it seems like, I don't know, maybe the connection was just bad for a moment.
Okay, so there are some coming saying they can hear.
Yeah,
that's
okay.
good.
Okay,
so the other thing, sorry, just also things like extra blankets and yeah, towels, lots of towels, and obviously a good source of running water.
Okay.
That's important as well. And have babies' things ready, you know, clothes for afterwards if you want to dress them, nappies, all that type of thing. Pads for mums, her maternity pads. Linen savers you'll have to provide yourself, which are those sort of sheets, you know, like that look like it's like it's like an oversized, very thin pad, and it goes on top of the sheet to protect the sheet from staining and that sort of thing. So we use a lot of those during
the your hospital bag still.
Exactly. But just a few extra things like having your own blankets and your own towels and all that type of thing available.
I see we've got a question on placenta encapsulation. If I read that correctly, it's disappeared now.
Yes, it is.
Yeah, how, like, thoughts on that? Like, how would you go? Is that possible with home births?
Absolutely. What we do then is we then get you to retain your placenta in the fridge or the freezer, preferably the fridge. And we would then if you're interested in that, we would put you in contact with people who actually do that. There are doulas that do placenta encapsulation. And basically what they do is they've got a dehydrating machine. And then they take your placenta and they dehydrate it to the point where it's in a powder form. And then they turn it into capsules. And they give you however many capsules they can get out of it. They bottle it for you. And moms would take those capsules, and it has a lot of very good effects on the body. It apparently helps with breast milk production and all that type of thing. Apparently it helps with recovery from the birth and all that type of thing. So it apparently has wonderful effects on the body. I must be honest, I'm not really very clued up on it. I do have a couple of friends, fellow doulas, that do it. But I'm not hugely, sort of in tune with what exactly it's useful for. But I have heard certain things. And some moms think it's gross, others think it's fantastic. So
it's a personal choice.
Exactly. Do your homework and see if it's something you want to do. You know, I always say to moms, make informed decisions about your choices. Because if you're educated, you can then choose. Nobody's going to choose that for you. You have to make your own choice.
So now we've had the delivery, baby's here, the tests and everything that needs to happen. Who does that? Because now you don't have your pediatrician or whoever you would have there. Do you guys do it? Do you come with equipment to make sure you can do all the tests? If like stuff like that, like does mom need to now go to hospital afterwards? How does it work?
No, she doesn't, unless obviously there's a concern. So in terms of labor, first of all, the midwife obviously has things like she has a portable Doppler, which is what they monitor baby's heart rate with. Often it's waterproof, because if mom's having a water birth, she can use it in the water. So we're monitoring baby's heart rate all the time. We're taking blood pressure, temperature, all those type of things. So that's taken care of. In terms of what we look at for the baby afterwards, even if you have your baby at a birth center, the midwife first, checks baby to see that baby's okay. Are all the reflexes in place? Because babies have a number of reflexes that will go over time, but they're born with them. And she has to check that they're all in place, because if they're not, there could be some concern as to is there some sort of neurological problem or something like that. So she can check for those anyway. That's not an issue. She'll also check for things like hip dysplasia. In other words, if the hips are of a concern, are they displaced in any way? All that kind of thing. So she absolutely can check all those things. When it comes to resuscitation and stuff, if baby has had a problem breathing or maybe born what we call a bit flat, in other words, not breathing so actively on their own, their colors maybe not so good and so on. In other words, respiration and that is compromised. She brings oxygen with her She brings a resus kits, all that type of thing. And these midwives that do home births, believe me, they are so well trained. They know exactly how to deal with a baby that needs resuscitation. If that does happen, however, while she's doing that, her fellow midwife or her doula will be phoning an ambulance to come and collect baby and possibly even mom, because we won't leave a baby at home if it needs resuscitation. It will then need to go to NICU so that a pediatrician can check it out and make sure that it's fine. But your day-to-day routine checks, the APGAR tests, which is that test that they do at a minute and 5 minutes. It stands for appearance, pulse, grimace, activity, and respiration. So it's all that, and each one gets 2 points. So the baby gets a number out of 10. And obviously we look, if the baby is 6 and under, that baby needs to be transferred. But anything from 7 and under, we're pretty happy with that. So yes, absolutely. And for example, if the mom's placenta is having trouble coming on its own, she will bring medication with her that she can actually inject mom with to help the placenta come. So she is completely prepared for all aspects of that.
Okay.
I hope that answers your question.
Yes, it does. And then with regards to like aftercare, babies get, vaccines and stuff in hospital. Mom gets to stay for 2 or 3 days. What is the aftercare like? Will baby need to go into hospital to have those vaccines? Will the midwife or the doula come to the mom's house to check on her for the first couple of days? What is aftercare like for a home birth?
Okay, well, let's cover vaccines first. So the baby has 2 types of, one vaccination and 1 lot of drops at birth. Polio drops and the BCG injection, okay, which is called tuberculosis. And those are the 2 birth things that they receive. Not a lot of midwives do the vaccines at home, but as long as the mom within the first week or so she can even go to a stork's nest or a pharmacy or something like that, to a clinic, and have those vaccines done by a clinic sister, that's also fine. So that's not an issue. It's not like the baby has to have it the minute they're born. And the one thing the baby does get from the midwife, regardless of whether it's home or hospital, if the mum and dad have consented, is a vitamin K injection. And the reason why we encourage vitamin K is because vitamin K is useful for clotting factors. Now, obviously, we're not worried about a baby cutting itself. Chances of that are very slim. We're thinking about brain hemorrhaging, which can happen in newborns. It's not very common. Obviously, it's more common in your preterm babies and that, which in that case, babies wouldn't be born at home. But it can happen. So the vitamin K prevents that. So that will be given by the midwife. But in terms of the other vaccinations, it depends on the midwife, but generally they will have to go to a clinic sister for that. Where the aftercare is concerned, your midwife and doula will stay with you for, can be anything between 2 and 4 hours after the birth. It depends, especially in a home environment, it just depends on how things go. We'll help her with breastfeeding and so on. The midwife will do a few visits in the first 5 to 7 days. In the first 3 days, she might even see her every day. Because remember now, she's checking on her from a medical point of view as well, especially if she's torn or she's had to do an episiotomy where they cut and she's had sutures. She's got to check that there's no infection and all that type of thing. So she's checking on her from that point of view. The doula is also going to do at least 1 postnatal visit with her, and she can ask for more from her doula if she wants to. And then also she can also employ her doula to stay with her if she wants to over the next few days, or to come in every day for a certain number of hours. We offer postnatal care as well on a more full-term basis if the mom requires that. So she definitely has good aftercare. In fact, I think in a way it's better because she's getting personal care from people she's built this relationship with. She's already got a rapport with them. And it's not just different people coming in and giving her different bits of advice every day. Yeah.
Okay. We had a question of would you be able to provide a list of midwives that you trust and that you work with? Is there like a place where people can go to get a list like this, where you can recommend midwives?
Absolutely. They can contact me on my Instagram page or on my Facebook page, Donna the Doula. On Instagram, it's Donna_the_doula. Facebook is just Donna the Doula, and they can actually PM me or DM me, whatever, and I can help them out with that. Alternatively, there is a little magazine that's available at places like Baby City. It's called the Expectant Mother's Guide, and on the opposite side is the Expectant Father's Guide. And in there is a register of all the different practitioners that do different things in the various provinces. The only thing with that is that they don't always say whether the midwife does home births or not. So it might be somebody individual to sort of help you with who specifically would help you with a home birth. But those are available.
I just want to actually check. I think we've answered most questions. I don't know if anybody else has a different question that they maybe want to have answered. I just wanted to ask with regards to moms like me. I've got a recess factor.
Yes.
And obviously, like, I needed to get injections within 24 hours after my girls were born, because they needed to do blood tests right away. Would a home birth would I be considered a high risk for a home birth? Or would the doula or the midwife be able to test babies and my blood to see if I needed to get those injections?
That's a good question. No, actually, I'd have to find that out. I'm not 100% certain. I'd rather not say yay or nay in any direction in case I'm wrong, because I'm also I've also got a rhesus factor.
Yeah. And I know it's also dependent, because my sister, for instance, she's also a negative, but she's not an O negative. So I know, like, the O negatives are specifically more difficult than the other negatives. So yeah, it's probably something you'll have to, like, sit with your doctor and your midwife and everybody and kind of make a decision about.
Absolutely. That's one thing I haven't mentioned, is that when you are going to consider either a home birth or a birth at a birth center, you are going to also have to have what we call a backup gynae. So you're going to have to go and see this gynae 2 or 3 times during your pregnancy. What's nice is he'll do scans with you, although you can go independently as well if you want to. But he will go through all that with you. And if he's concerned about, or he or she is concerned about anything, then they will actually tell you at that point whether they think it's an option or not. Obviously, there are only particular gynaes that will work with midwives with regards to a home birth or a birth center birth. Not all gynaes are keen on it, but you do get gynaes that are willing to back those midwives up. So they will make sure that everything is perfectly in place for mom to be able to go ahead and have a home birth.
Well, if I don't see any other questions popping up, but I learned so much. So thank you so much, Donna. It's definitely, I definitely feel that I know more about it now, and that it's an option, definitely an option for moms. Obviously, I've had 3 C-sections, so it's not an option for me, because, yeah, it probably would never work. But I do think it makes it less scary just knowing that, you know, I think there's a misconception thinking you're on your own. If something goes wrong, you won't know. It'll be too late. It's really reassuring to know that you guys take such good care of the moms and that you actually will step in. Because I think a lot of the times I would be worried, like, what if we just didn't know something was wrong? Like, what if I was in so much pain and my husband was in, like, such a, I don't know, panic? It's just good to know there's 2 other people there that's actually, like, taking care of you. So thank you so much for explaining it.
Oh, you're welcome.
So thoroughly, and for giving new insights as to, like, who can do it, and you know, the precautions and the prerequisites and things that's needed. I really did learn a lot, and I'm sure everybody watching this will feel the same.
Fantastic. Thank you.
And I hope you have a great lockdown. I don't know, like, are people having home births at the moment during lockdown?
Oh, definitely. I think it's on the increase at the moment. Okay. Definitely. Either that or they're looking for private birthing centers and things like that. Because I just think it's a safer option for them in the long run. You know, as I say, providing all those other factors have been taken into consideration.
Yeah. I love that now. I mean, I had my first girl 8 years ago, but I think, like, now there's so much more information available to moms. And I love that it's just getting, because that's what I agree with. Just be informed, make your own choices, but at least have the option to make a choice.
Well, that's what I was going to say, is that, you know, you've got to make sure that you are making informed decisions. Don't listen to your peers or your family, you know, be really specific on what you want. Because I always say to moms, this is your body, your birth, your baby, you know, the 3 Bs. And so you've got to actually be happy with your choices. And the only way you're going to do that is if you become educated, and from that you actually make informed decisions. Ask questions, interview midwives, interview doulas, interview gynaes even, and make sure that you are happy with the birth choices that are available to you and what you would like can be followed through with. Because the one thing we do encourage moms to do, regardless of where they deliver and what type of birth they have, even if it is a cesarean, is to write a birth plan. I call it a birth wish because I don't believe you can plan birth. But it just gives the professionals that are involved with you, your caregivers, an idea of what it is you're looking for. And they can really just be totally informed about what you'd like, and they can, to the best of their ability, make those things happen for you. Because at the end of the day, we're looking for a positive outcome with a mom and dad who have a very positive outcome in terms of their memory of the birth. And that's another thing where doulas are very helpful, is that they help retain the memory of the birth. Because remember, I'm sure you know, having had 3 babies, it's a lifelong memory. It's not something you're ever going to forget. And you want that to be a positive experience. You don't want it to be negative and surrounded by trauma and all that type of thing. So, yeah, just investigating everything, making sure that you know what options are available to you is absolutely paramount.
Well, thank you so much for your time, and thank you to everybody that also joined us and for just taking part. I see Health Masters also said she doesn't regret her home birth, so that's wonderful to read. But I hope you have a lovely day, and good luck with the rest of lockdown and all the moms you are supporting at the moment. And I just hope everybody. I hope you all have an awesome day as well. Thank you for joining us. Bye bye, Donna.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.